A natural med isn't just a substance you take. It is a lifestyle that one lives to amplify their health. We don't always choose how long we will be on this planet, but we can take action on the quality of life that we wish to enjoy.
The Natural Med podcast interviews different professionals and experts who look at improving the quality of health so they can live a more fulfilling life. Whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, or spiritually, we discover the secrets to their own journey and the small steps individuals can take on a daily basis to improve the quality of their life. Come with me as we travel, research, and discover how we can make incremental changes on a daily basis to live a more fulfilled and balanced life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Natural Med podcast. Nicole Wright here, your host, and I'm joined by co-host Joshua Wright. Hey, Josh, what's up?
Hey.
And our guest today is Rain Rubio.
Hi, well, thank you.
Yeah, I met Rain a few weeks ago at the DFW Women's Conference, and it was awesome. She just spoke a wealth of knowledge about your financial health, and I'm super excited to share with what she has to say with all of our listeners on our podcast. A few months ago when we started this podcast, we talked about a wide range of different health and wellness topics related to your physical health, how you exercise, your nutrition, and even your mental health. But what we have not talked about yet is your financial health, and that is very important because your financial health can definitely affect your mental health, and it can affect your physical health. And so I'm super excited. I'm going to introduce Rain and let her tell you about herself. Welcome, Rain, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you welcoming me here today.
Yeah.
But my name is Rain Rubio. Thank you, everyone. And I'm actually been in the financial industry now for 15 years. I'm with a company called Our Infinite Company based here in Dallas. I am one of the executive business directors, an equity partner, and also the co-founder for the women of Our Infinite Company,
so awesome.
Along with my business partner, Mary Grace Anasco. So I'm so ecstatic about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us how you kind of got into the finance industry and, where did you all start with this? What inspired you to get into the finance industry?
I think that the main thing that really inspired me was that I did not know about any of this that I do now. It inspired me because the things that I've been through in my life that, I want to be honest with you, it wasn't always perfect. It wasn't always great. I've been through the divorce. I've been through a lot of hardship growing up because of financial reasons or because of the lack of financial knowledge. And everything just kind of led into wishing that I knew a little bit more. Maybe it could have prevented me from going through those things. I was previously a teacher. Yes. And so when I was, I think it was back in 2007, things kind of got rocky. I've never thought about ever being in the financial industry. I never thought about being in business. I never even thought about being an entrepreneur. I knew nothing about it. And my brother, he was actually the one who introduced me to a financial company. And, at that time, I was actually looking for a second job. Wow. And honestly, a lot of employees were telling me that I was overqualified or that I was asking for too much or they wanted a little bit more extra time for me that I couldn't dedicate because I was already missing a lot of time away from my family. And so I gave it a shot, in less than 30 days, I actually fell in love with becoming an entrepreneur. Originally I just wanted to come in to make money, but then along the way, I really love helping people with the solutions that we provide, the things that I went through in my life, knowing how my family weren't protected, what they went through. like my sister who was not protected, her and her family wasn't protected, and I saw the downside of not being protected can cause versus what protection can do for a family. So that kind of was my kickstart.
Yeah.
And that's how I stuck it in. And a couple months later, about 9 months later, I quit teaching altogether. And I've been in the financial industry straight for 15 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So when you see people that weren't protected or your sister that wasn't protected, what do you mean exactly?
This was a really a very unfortunate story because I knew, when I first got licensed back in 2007, the process was a little bit longer. And becoming an entrepreneur, I really didn't quite understand either, I guess a little bit selfishness. My sister was asking for some type of life insurance. Her job wasn't providing it at the time, and she was asking protection for her and her husband, and I made her wait until I was licensed and appointed by the state of Texas. And that was the big kick for me, because during the time that I was waiting, and I made her wait, her husband passed away.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Her husband passed away, and my sister was left with nothing. And so I really saw the financial burden fall on my sister. And I just, I always think like, what if I should have, it's my own sister. How come I did this? So that was a really big, heavy burden on me for many, many years. But I just want to make sure that now she understood and I understood, and her whole family is covered and protected with life insurance. Because since then, like her and I, we've seen people, lose families. And unfortunately, there's a lot of men. I haven't delivered a claim for a woman yet.
Wow.
But a lot of men, male, I'm not even saying men, male. Because from 18 years old, between 18 years old and 30 years old, these are the death benefits I've delivered. And, and I've always thought maybe they'll be over 60, 70, I didn't think that they were going to be so young.
Wow.
Young male. And it wasn't because of COVID. It was all because of accidents or because they were at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was so unfortunate. But that kept me going. The need of, getting somebody educated to know what I know because of the things that I've seen. I really, that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your view of financial health, would you say like insurance is kind of like the foundation, or where do you start with people?
Well, I think the foundation is really understanding where they stand financially. A lot of people think that they have to have money, they have to have a certain amount of wealth to be protected. I think the wonderful thing about protecting people and teaching people is that everyone is not in the same suitability. Everyone has their own case. And we have solutions that we can help people with, whether it's a low income, whether it's high income. It's about getting the right protection. Because honestly, there's only about, a quarter of, families here in the U.S. that are only protected. And out of the quarter, only about, roughly around 60% of them only have group insurance. But group insurance isn't even really enough to take care of the final expense that really left for the family. And so it's just knowing the facts, knowing, I think that a lot of people, they realize they need it when it's already either one, it's too late, or when something tragically happens. And what do? They go to GoFundMe accounts. That is really not a life insurance plan. I think if you're going to plan for a family, go 100% and get protected. That's my intake.
Now, do you have a preference over like term or whole, or it just depends on the situation? Depends
on the situation. We have, with the temporary products, the permanent products, there's so many. There's so many different types of solutions out there. There's the older products like the whole lives, but I still help families with whole life plans versus, there's also the term, and there's also the index universal lives. There's also, really depending on the suitability and what somebody needs. But back to the foundation, I actually sit down with a family and we map out where they stand financially to do something called a financial need analysis. And based on that, based on discretionary, based on what they need versus what they want, then that's when we game plan and we move forward to the next step and I show them their options. Yeah, because not everybody's suitable for a term. Not everybody's suitable for example, an index universal life or a universal life or a guarantee universal life or a whole life. So we really try to map out and we kind of see where they are and then we show them their options.
Now, what is an indexed universal life? I know a little bit what a term policy is and whole policy, but how does that differ?
Well, index universal life is a permanent policy with cash value. It's not invested in the market, but it's mirroring the market. And it really depends on the type of indice. You have options with each company has different options based on what indice and the percentage that you want to put in. But, for example, there could be an uncapped strategy in the cash value and with a 0% floor. Or the floors and the caps are different based on each company. But it's a permanent life insurance with cash value and also living benefits.
Okay, what does that mean by it has cash value in it?
It has tax advantage growth in its savings part of the cash value. And, life insurance is not what it used to be, honestly, like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, not even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The Index Universal Life is very new.
Okay.
It's not very new, but it's one of the newest. Before I used to think that life insurance is just about death. Life insurance is really, really about the living. It really is.
Okay.
Because yes, I have delivered claims to young adults who had passed away prematurely, but with the cash value, for example, during the 2020 time, a lot of people worried about job losses, loss of income. I've had previous clients who understood about this plan, that they were able to take that cash value and supplement their income to replace their income that they lost through a job.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how cash value played in. But I also have a client who was able to access the cash value that he had, and he paid off his home and his doctor's student loan. It's a variety of things. And the living benefit, that's just a whole different ballgame right there.
Now, is that when you take it out to pay off your student debt or your mortgage, is that money you have to pay back, or is it yours?
It's theirs. It's like I said, everybody is different. I have people who start fresh. I have some people who already have funds that they want to put in. It really depends on the need and where they want to go with it. But unexpected things happen all the time, and people have access to accelerate those funds in case of an emergency.
Oh, wow.
Or a wedding or a graduation or, if I had that. So it's been an awesome experience.
Yeah, that's interesting.
How important do you think it is to, for people who are interested in talking about these types of products? I feel like it's really important to have someone that has a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, because you get a lot of misinformation or a lot of conflicts of interest with the way insurance is paid out. They're selling one thing because they're trying to make a living, and they're just getting started, and so they're pushing one product really hard instead of like sitting with you, figuring out what your needs are, and then tailoring what they show you based on your needs. I feel like younger or inexperienced people just push a product.
They do, and a lot of times when I come across that, I ask questions. Like, why do you feel that way? What do you know? What do you believe? Almost 100% of them will tell me, especially if they're unexperienced, oh, my mom told me that. Oh, my dad told me that. Oh, I heard. Or, my parents had a bad experience 10 years ago. So I think it's just past experience and the knowledge that they know, what they grew up to hear. It sticks with them. So what does it do? It puts a lot of people's guards up to really take the next step to get financially educated, and it's not that anymore, and there's so much agencies out there, so much, there's so much solutions, so much agencies, and every agency, I give them props because they believe in their product. If all their product is only term, they believe in 100% and they will say it's the best. I will say the same thing. Another agent would say the same thing. there's someone who always knows the agent. My thing is my intake, sit down with them. If it's not me, sit down with them. Yeah. Sit down with them and get educated about it, because, almost 100%, it's nothing what they thought it would be. So that's my intake.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to have that information and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, with the living benefits, that's a whole new game changer. Like my mom actually, when 2020 happened, very unfortunate thing is 2020 with COVID. Yeah. My mom actually went through it. She lives in Corpus Christi. She was coming down to Dallas to visit on July 3rd, 2020, surprising our family that, hey, she was coming. And my mom cooks. She is a cook in the family. So, I love it. She came in and, she didn't even make it to our house. She went straight to the hospital. She jumped hospital. She had pneumonia. She had, and then next thing you know, it was COVID pneumonia. That visit ended up, she stayed in Dallas for almost 3.5 months.
Wow.
She lost about 70 pounds. She lost all ability to walk. She lost all ability to, do things herself, to pick up a spoon, all that. And it was just really hard because when 2020 happened, they didn't, a lot of people, they didn't let anyone in the hospital. Yeah. So she felt, she experienced feeling alone for the first time. That honestly, she felt like giving up. I honestly did. And my sister and my brother, they're in the medical field. My sister's also a nurse. My brother's in the medical field. Me, I knew I couldn't be a nurse when I saw a blood bag. No way. But my sister and brother has been the rock of everything that my mom went through. Mm-hmm. They guided me while she was here and they had to go back to Los Angeles. They guided me what to do. And finally, when she was released, I believe, she had VA benefits and all that. I believe they were trying to put her in a nursing home in Houston. Mm. Another time for him to be alone. Yeah. Mm. So my sister and brother, I don't know how they did it, what they did, but they were able to transfer her to Los Angeles. Wow. Her benefits, her VA benefits, her Medicare, everything that she had, and her living benefits, through her policy, was able to take care of her, to have a physical therapist come to their home. Wow. And to get my mom back on her feet. That's so awesome. Just the process of seeing my own mom go through not being able to walk alone to now dancing again, but short of breath, of course, and then just the process of her being on an oxygen tank, slowly coming off of it. My mom looks amazing. Oh, my mom has been in the best health more than she's ever been, and my mom's about to be, I believe, 74.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And she beat COVID.
That's awesome.
And I've never had to experience, the living benefits until it was my own mom.
Wow. Yeah. And you can't really put a price on your health and that recovery and that quality of recovery too. Absolutely not.
And because of that too, when I saw my mom's medical bill, or I heard about it, I heard it's like around $700,000. Yeah. Wow. It's a lot. That's $700,000 she didn't have. Wow. But because of the benefits that she had, she was able to be financially good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Her and my stepdad, very financially sane.
Yeah, that's
not
good.
worried about it. Yeah.
Now, do you do anything with health insurance at all, or do you advise people?
We have. I have definitely. I'm a big referral. I love referrals. I give referrals. My sister-in-law, she actually is also an agent with us, but she also does health insurance. So I refer a lot of people to my sister-in-law who helps families in Texas. Yeah. But I know other people, connection. Depending on what someone needs, I always refer out. But my main focus is just life insurance and also, retirement plans. Yeah, 403B, 401k, the basics, but it's mostly life insurance.
Yeah. And that's super important too, because a lot of people don't think about those things. We like to live in the moment and here, but it's good to plan for the future and everything too.
Absolutely.
Because you're young and healthy right now, but you don't know in 10 years what your life's going to be like, and you hope you're still healthy then, but things happen, accidents happen, and
things happen all the time. Like I've known people who, I'll wait till next year. I get those people. I'm not ready yet. Or now the holidays is coming. Let's be real. Like holidays is coming. Mm-hmm. Oh, Thanksgiving, I have to put in a lot of money for Thanksgiving. Then Christmas comes. Oh, I spent a lot of money. Let's wait till after the holidays. After holidays come, what do they say? Oh, I have to catch up on everything that I spent. And it's a rotating cycle of excuses.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing is when somebody gets protected, you can start somewhere and build up. Yeah. You have an option to do that. They just need a time to give themselves, they have to give themselves a moment to get educated about it first before they really keep putting it off, because within 6 months, within 1 year, I've seen people's health change. Cancer, and the minute we do protect people who had previously had cancer. I think, there's a time frame. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes 5, 10, or 15 years out of, remission?
Remission.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you can possibly insure somebody if they've had cancer.
Yes, in the past.
Okay.
Yes.
There's just a time restraint. And in human nature is, or at least a lot of, I think males, I don't know how many females feel this way. It's like they feel like it could happen to anybody except for them.
Yes.
It's like we all think we're invincible or something.
Oh, tons of women.
Yeah.
and then something happens and you're like, oh, well, maybe I should look at insurance or something like that. And if it's something that happened with, your heart or cancer or something like that, it's like, oh, okay, now you're going to pay 10, 15 times, 20 times, or you can't get insured at all.
Exactly.
Now you've waited too long.
Right.
So it's important to take a realistic look at yourself and be like, okay, I'm not going to live forever.
Yeah.
I need to have a plan. Especially, I think it's really important if you're getting married or having a kid. I mean, it's important before that too, but if you haven't done it by then, that's your okay, you have to do it at this point.
Absolutely.
It's just irresponsible not to. You don't want your wife or your kids to be, sitting
left
there
with that burden.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I've seen even people who don't have wives and kids. I've seen brothers scrambling, trying to figure out a way to pay for the funeral expenses of their brother. And it's heartbreaking, and you're making choices with no money, and it's a lot to put on people. So
it really
insurance at some level is I think responsible and important, and
right.
At any age past 18, but once you're married and kids, it's like, okay, that you can't push it any further than that.
Oh, you cannot. You cannot. And it's very unfortunate, the stories that I've been told from clients and family and friends. And, I have a client who actually has a brother that the family couldn't afford a proper burial. So they made a payment arrangement with, the funeral company, whatever company it was. Couple skip payments throughout the month, and they had to take the casket out and relocate it.
Oh my gosh.
Holy smokes.
And in less than 30 days, they misplaced it.
Oh my gosh.
So now they're going through a lawsuit currently right now,
wow.
because they misplaced the casket. I've had this happened before, about 8 years ago, but this happened just recently again, 2 months ago.
Wow.
So it's very things like that, you just don't ever want to put your family in that burden.
Yeah.
A wonderful thing too is we also help people with something called infinite docs. It's wills and it's wills and test. Oh gosh, I'm so tongue tied right now.
Last will and testament.
Last will and testament. Yes, and that is very important. I mean, because you don't want to. I mean, if something were to happen and a family has young children, and let's say it's a single parent, if something happens to a single parent and she's unconscious in the hospital. I think it's very important to direct what is going to happen with those kids, who should be with the kids, the bills companies are still, utility companies are businesses.
Yes.
They're not going to wait for you to come out to pay a bill. Water will get cut off, electric cut off. I've seen it happen. It's very important to direct that to somebody reliable and responsible who will love and care for the children. because there's too many families that they get split apart because not having that.
Yeah.
And especially when money gets involved, true colors come out of people.
Yeah.
Whether it's 5,000 or 500,000, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
People will fight over money because in time of need, desperation happens too. And it's just very important, just protect it 100%. And there's no cost to it. I mean, we help people with wills, and we guide them, we show them what their next steps. We do all of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that, being ICU nurse for years and everything, seeing, loved ones in the hospital on life support, and, not the outcome is unsure, or it's, bad, and then the family's left to kind of take over and, possibly make decisions.
A heavy responsibility.
It's a very heavy responsibility and everything. And
my husband always tells me if he's ever on life support, he doesn't want it. And that's hard for me because I would want him to be there with me. Yeah. But I have to respect his wishes. He just doesn't want to continue life support, and that's on his will. And it's just me. It's a little bit different. I mean, our wills are set, but then I think about it all the time. But I think that one thing is it's easy for me to talk about it because we have it, because I believe it and I own it. My whole family has it. Yeah. And, it literally took 14 years for my entire family for me to help every single one of them. Someone coming from a teacher, a lot of them didn't believe that I was going to stick to it. They were waiting for me to quit. Yeah. There's so many people trying so many different things out, and they wanted to see my seriousness and my dedication, and they saw it after, opening offices, different locations. And I mean, we are growing an empire with our Infinite Company, opening locations in different areas here, especially in Texas, but from East to West Coast. My family are seeing what we're doing, and now they're questioning, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's this? And
now when they see it, they're like, oh, you are an expert in your field.
Yes, but when someone loses a family member, things happen, like with my mom. Now it opens their eyes, and they get it now. Yeah, and that's what I do, through my own family.
That's awesome. No, that's good. It's very important to plan, because a lot of people don't realize, even if they think they're in the perfect health, well, probably 99% of people drive every day on the highway, and that's like the most dangerous thing you can do.
Right.
And, you don't know what's going to happen today or tomorrow, and it's good to plan for those things.
Exactly. Like my very first claim that I delivered was actually with another associate of mine. It was for an 18-year-old, and he was at the wrong place at the wrong time at a mall, and he got shot, and he passed away. And so that was my very first claim a couple of years ago. After that, it was a motorcycle accident. Someone ran over a dear friend of mine. I've had a client who was just, he's a doctor, a dentist, and he was riding a bike, just exercising, and he had a heart attack while he was riding a bike. I've had a nephew that was actually in a passenger side sleeping because he worked third shift, and someone ran a red light and ran into him, and he passed away. It's just very unfortunate. And most recent is a good friend of mine, client. Both of them were clients for over 10 years. A day before Thanksgiving, he got into a car accident. And it was just very unfortunate. But things like that, the families that, it's bittersweet, but just to see that the families are...
that they're taken care of.
They're taken care of financially. And they're set and they're good. And they've been able to move on and mourn instead of having to hurry up and go back to work right away. They're protected accordingly due to their wishes because they understood about the financial knowledge. Yeah. And honestly, a lot of people don't admit this, and a lot of I think a lot of men are still adjusting to the fact that a lot of women are going to be beneficiaries. A lot of women are, and if a woman is, if all they do is stay at home and work or work minimally, they can't work two jobs and make what the breadwinner or their husband or maybe the wife. If they can't work two jobs and take care of their kids, they need to get protected.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to lose everything they work hard for. So no matter what situation anyone needs, anyone is in, they need to get financially educated.
What some people they'll just get insurance on the major breadwinner, but what they don't think about there is like, okay, let's say the stay-at-home mom or the stay-at-home dad dies. Well, that breadwinner is either going to be gone all the time, and these kids are raising themselves, because now they're still out there working and they don't have someone to stay at home, so now they're in daycare or whatever. Or he's making less money, or he or she's making less money so that they can spend more time with the kids.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, okay, we have to sell the house, we have to move, and
it's
stuff
happened.
like that. Yeah, so insurance, when we were married, we've been married forever, but when we were young, I was like,
forever.
I was like, we need insurance on both of us, not only because she makes more money than me, but I was like, two things. One, I was like, if I die, you're going to find someone else really quick. It's not going to be any problem.
I hear that all the time.
But I was like, if you die, I'm in trouble. Like, I didn't hold up as well as she did. So, so like to get back on the market and raise my kids and everything,
it's going to be expensive.
It's going to be a lot of money. I'm going to have to get back in shape. I'm going to have to.
Well, if you think about it, look how the economy is changing. Everything's going up, but everyone's minimum wage is still kind of the same. Like, how can they do that to people? People are struggling, and and this is what I'm saying. Like, when people think that they need the money to be protected, we have solutions for everybody, depending on their suitability. Get protected, period. Yeah. Because the last thing you want to do is just scramble, not know what to do when something happens again. If it's too late, or, you just don't want to. It's a burden on people, too. When somebody sends me a GoFundMe account, like, hey, can you donate? I'm like, oh, how do I do this? Like, for 10 years, I've been talking to my friend, hey, I've been telling you to get protected. Now you're asking me help. And that's hard on me. And I don't want to say no, but I have to say no. I have to. And it's just, for me, I have to protect myself, too. I'm an agent, and I got to do what's right. But I got to lead what's right, too. And that's why I'm very, I never feel like I'm bothering anybody. Like, hey, I have a reason why I'm calling you.
Yes.
And I'm you got to be fearless to call and follow up. And because I believe in what I do. Yeah. And because I know somebody's situation, it's my job to make sure to protect you.
Yeah. And you want to help them.
I want to help them. I want to make sure that they start somewhere and we can work it up.
That's awesome. So tell us a tip or trick that we can share with our listeners and viewers, to something maybe they can do on a daily basis to improve their financial health. Like, even if it's a little thing, definitely they need to get some sort of life insurance, but what's maybe something they can do also to help with their financial health?
Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it. Like I said, we do something called financial need analysis, but anybody could do it at home. Write down all your monthly expenses, every single expense that you have, as far as subscription, all your utility bills, shopping.
Yes,
shopping. There's a lot of women that say, oh, I don't have money. But then when I go through their financial need analysis, they spend more on shopping than they do on their utilities and groceries.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you got to adjust. Write everything down, add it up, look at your discretionary. You got to plan, and you got to have a goal. It's very uncomfortable. A lot of people don't say, hey, let's create a goal. That's not a common sentence that you hear from people. Yeah. Hey, let's create a goal. But that's what we do. Yeah. And I teach people that. I teach people to value that and to understand their goal, and hey, let's meet it. Yeah. And it starts from that. So that's the tip. Add up everything that you spend every month. See what you could adjust, and contact somebody.
Yes.
If you don't have it, then I'm here. But contact somebody and just get financially educated with a plan.
I love that. And tell us more about how we find out about you and your services and everything.
Well, you could definitely contact me. I would prefer email.
Okay.
My email is Rain Rubio, it's RAINRUBIO @ourinfinite.com. Or you could find me on Facebook at Rain Rubio. Rain Rubio, and on Facebook, The Rain Rubio. on Instagram, and you'll see me everywhere else from there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you, Rain, so much for being on the podcast.
I appreciate it.
This has been such a wealth of knowledge and everything.
Thank you.
So we'll see y'all next time.